Bushwise Field Guides is an all-encompassing field guide course which gives any student huge experience. The idea is that they come with all-encompassing qualifications that they can hopefully get into a job.
The course that we offer is very, very comprehensive, and also we consult with the lodges themselves as to what they're looking for into their guides, and based on that we include that on our courses.
I love nature and I love working with people, so that's actually where my interest grew. I just want to do something or find a particular career in nature.
The students come to Bushwise, I think, not expecting the amount of knowledge they're going to get.
So our modules include things anywhere from geology of the area, climate, mammals, mammal calls, animal behavior.
We do advanced 4x4, we do presentation skills, we do rifle handling and shooting skills.
It's really nice that each week we got either one or a number of modules and then a test weekly, because then it did prepare us for the final Fugaza exam.
You know, you're continually learning. You're not just here in the classroom learning stuff. You're out and about in the bush.
And you're not just chasing after the big five, you're stepping in the trees and the flowers and all the little bugs and everything. So that was really awesome because I'm a visual learner and I have to see things to understand them.
I've learned a lot more than I thought I would be able to learn.
On the campus, we're trying to make it as comfortable as possible for the students, a home away from home.
Because it's not necessarily the easiest thing to come out as an international, but to have somewhere where you know that you'll be safe and with a lot of people that are doing the same thing with the same passion. I think for me that's what appealed me to it.
It's not you on your own struggling to understand something or remember something. Everyone is helping everyone.
With family, we become a family, and with the trainers, what I love about them, they're open, you're free to ask any question whenever you want.
We're teaching them concepts and tips and tricks and knowledge that we've gained over years and years and years.
I have more belief in myself. That's the thing that motivated me the most.
Being a guide or working at research entities, a big element, if not the biggest element, is actually working with people.
It's exciting because you get to tell people what they don't know at all, and seeing the faces like so surprised, like wow.
And I think our main goal is to create teachers which will be able to go out and actually keep conservation going.
That's one of the reasons why we have Bushwise. We try to not only train them as guides with a piece of paper, but for them to go out, be ambassadors, and be responsible and set an example.
A lot of jobs require you to have work experience, and without that often you aren't able to get jobs, so we offer the 6-month placement which enables people to work in the industry to really get that foot in the door.
So they give you like a jump start into the industry.
I can't wait now, I can't wait. I'm not looking forward to leaving this place, but that's when the real stuff begins.
Getting excited just thinking about it.
Right, hi everyone, and welcome to our first ever Bushwise Virtual Open Day. It's wonderful to have you all here with us today. We really appreciate you taking some time out of your weekend and your free time to just be here with us and to learn more about our Bushwise programs. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I am actually going to be handing over shortly to our lineup of speakers. So first up, we have Eugene, who will be sharing with us about our Bushwise professional field guiding courses. And then after Eugene, we'll be handing over to our current student, Savannah, who will be sharing a bit about what it's like to be a Bushwise student currently. She's actually doing a program literally as we speak. And then I'm going to be handing over to Danielle via pre-recorded video. Unfortunately, Danielle has a bush drive on at this very moment, so she's not able to be here with us live in person, but she did pre-record her talk. And then I'll be handing over to Trevor, who's going to be sharing about Bushwise online and the different Bushwise courses that you can do online. And then I'm going to be doing a little wrap up and sharing a bit more about our special offer. So at the end of today, you will be receiving an email. And in that email, it is going to outline the special offer that is available to you. It's a dramatically reduced deposit, significantly less than what our regular deposit amount is. And then we are going to I'll basically just let you know exactly when that email is going to land in your inbox. If you have questions throughout the course of the day, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box, and one of our team members who are online at the moment will be answering your questions as quickly as possible. And I think that's about it from me. So without further ado, I'm going to be handing over to Nico. Nico, are you here with us?
Am I?
Yes, you
Hello,
are. Shit,
everyone.
sorry. Did I call you Eugene earlier? If I did, I apologize.
Yeah, I wondered. I thought Eugene's going to take over. I was like, yo.
Yes. Thanks, Nico. Over to you.
Awesome, cool, Nico. Over to you.
All right. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to join us. I've got a little presentation that I'm going to share and go through. I think, like Amanda said, just pop any questions you do have regarding the presentation in the Q&A box. All right. So as you might wonder, just see. So just a little bit about me. Who am I? It's Nico Brits. I'm currently one of the trainers. I've been in the bush pretty much my entire life. My grandfather had a farm up in the northern parts of Limpopo. And I was born in Pretoria, grew up a bit in Johannesburg. I eventually finished school in Cape Town. And then I decided the bush is where I needed to be. I eventually did my guide training up in the Waterberg in Interbeni. That was in 2013. When I finished there, I went down to the Eastern Cape. And that's where I spent most of my guiding career. Over there, I completed my Fugaza field guide qualification, what says there's a level 2 qualification. Got my trails. I was assistant head guide there. I was a mentor for the newer guides, did a lot of the internal training, and then COVID hit. And I had to decide what I wanted to do. And training in a larger scale was sort of always something that I wanted to do. And I started with Bushwise in July 2021 last year. And since then, I've completed my professional field guide qualification and also professional track and sign qualification. So that is who I am. And just a couple of the team members. So we are 6 trainers at Bushwise, just a few members. So combined, we've got about 100 years worth of experience. So a lot of experience for you potential students to tap into. On the left-hand side of it, everyone can see my cursor here, but on the left-hand side there, we've got Vaughan. That's me in the middle there, Nico. And then just on the right-hand side, we've got Wayne on the right. And then just a couple of the courses that we do offer. So we've got Bushwise courses and then the nationally recognized certificates that we have as well, which is mostly the Fugaza qualifications as well as Casita. So if you do the Fugaza, the Bushwise professional field guide qualification through us, these are the certificates that you will attain. So we've got the Fugaza Apprentice Field Guide, the NQF2, Theory and Practical. I'll go through the details of that in just a little bit. The Apprentice Trails Guide, Theory, with the potential to do the practical after the course is done. And then we've got the NQF4, so that's the second level field guide qualification, which is the theory. So all your material you'll get through us. All of the theoretical knowledge will also go through in our lectures, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. Then we've got the Cyber Track and Track and Sign qualification, also a very important and very cool thing for students. The Casita National Qualification, so that just registers you with Casita so that you can then register with the Department of Tourism. The firearm proficiencies, so that is just a couple of shooting exercises, some theory you need to do that we do externally. These qualifications you do need in the industry for lodges to give you or to allocate weapons to you and to find you proficient with a firearm. Then we also do wilderness first aid certificate. certificate. So those are all the nationally recognized certificates. The Bushwise courses, like I said, we've got the professional field guide course certificate. So this is the entire, if you pass the entire course with 75% practical and theory, you will attain the professional field guide course certificate. Then we also have the wildlife photography workshop. So that gets done with our brilliant Louise, who does quite a lot of our social media. You'll see her around campus a lot. She's always around with her cameras, filming, taking photos. So she'll do a wildlife photography workshop as well. Then we do have the Bushwise birding specialist course. So that will be part of your practical component, where we'll do quite a lot of birding slides and sounds, learning quite a big number or large number of different bird species throughout the course. The reptile orientation course that we offer as well. So the good people of the Hoedspruit Wildlife, or sorry, the Hoedspruit Reptile Park, they'll come through to campus and they bring a couple of reptiles with, and it's just to teach you a little bit more about reptiles, snakes, and all the nice reptiles. Then we've got the dangerous game experience. So this will be mostly, it will be done practically on drives, where we do get to see quite a lot of the dangerous games, having a bit of experience with them, also doing quite a bit of walking as well, which also will be done on course. A social media module and field guide lodge industry. So that's something that Louise will also cover with you. That's just to, in the lodge industry itself, social media plays quite a big part these days. And this sort of module just helps you with writing blogs, also how you interact on social media in the lodge industry. And a lot of lodges do value this type of module to be covered before new guides are appointed. And then lastly, we had the advanced rifle handling, which I'll also go into detail, which is where you get to shoot the big rifles. So on the theory component, we cover about 17 different modules. As you can see on the picture to the left, it's intro to guiding. You're doing geology, weather and climate, astronomy, ecology. So there's quite a lot of different modules. This will all be covered with lectures in the classroom, where us as the trainers will do presentations, we'll answer your questions, we'll have Q&A sessions, and the good couple of students we've had this course has made you some lovely cards, so cue cards, which will also help with learning. After we've covered all these modules, you'll write a Fugasa Apprentice Field Guide Theory exam, and 75% is then needed to pass that exam. Once you have passed that exam, then we'll do the practical assessment, but don't worry, we will be there all the way. So while you're doing your theory, we'll be doing a lot of practical drives. There'll always be a trainer with a number of other students on the vehicle. At the start, the trainer will help teach the students, will teach you how to guide, how to use different techniques to connect to guests, how to share all the knowledge that you've gained through the theory. And then at the end, you'll do a practical assessment with the Fugasa assessor, and they will then find you competent for the practical component. Once you have done both those, you will then attain the Fugasa Apprentice Field Guide qualification, NQF2. Then after all of that, towards the end, we do the Trails Guide theory, so the Apprentice Trail Guide. So that will be pretty much the same as the modules that we covered. It's two separate modules. So one is called VPDA, which is Viewing Potentially Dangerous Game, and the other one is Rifles. So those are two different modules. The Viewing Potentially Dangerous Game is how you read animals' body language while on foot. What are the animals' comfort zones? That sort of thing we'll cover with you. The Rifles is how do you know the weapon, how to use the weapon, how do we carry the weapon when we are on a trail, when we are not walking, what stage is the weapon in. So all of that gets covered theoretically. You'll also do an exam for that, for those two modules, which will also be a 75% pass mark. And then while on course, we'll also do the walks like I mentioned earlier. So these walks that we do, it will be hours that you can get towards your Apprentice Trails Guide certificate. And it will also be encounters if we do find any of the potentially dangerous animals on foot. And those will help you eventually to attain your certificate later on. Then the track and sign. So this is often a very, very cool week for the students, and often quite a highlight. Is we'll get one of South Africa's best trackers in to come and teach you about tracks and signs of animals, insects, reptiles, birds, and you'll spend a week. It will be a morning and afternoon session out in the bush, learning the tracks of the animals, learning the different signs of the animals. And then during the middle parts of the day, there'll be a theory classroom session where you'll cover all the fine details of the foot structures of the animals, so not only the animals, but birds as well. And then at the end of that week, there'll be an assessment, and then you can get a level in track and sign, which is a really, really awesome thing to have. Then just a little bit on the advanced rifle handling side. So as I mentioned, this will also be a sort of a practical exercise that you do. As you can see there in the photo, the two ladies, they're practicing how to load rounds in the rifle. So we will coach you through all of these things before you get to that stage where you have to do the assessment, how you load the rifle, how we carry the rifle. We'll get you comfortable with using those rifles. And then at the end, we'll do quite a lot of different exercises where we'll start off with a smaller caliber and then move up to the big 375 rifle. And then if you do pass this, the ARH qualification, it will help towards your Apprentice Trails Guide as well. And at the moment, quite a lot of lodges require guides to have the ARH qualification for them to issue them a rifle. Because it's quite an intensive training exercise, it's very fun. I think a lot of people sometimes get in their head and they get quite nervous, but that's why we are there, and we'll try and coach you through all of that. And with a lot of practice, it is actually quite a very, very fun exercise to do, and an assessment to do. Then just a little bit on campus life and what campus is like. So I've just taken our game drive days and classroom days. So there'll be a lot of external activities like 4x4 training, which will be slightly different. The weeks that we do track and sign will be slightly different. But just to touch on the days that we mostly will be doing game drives, it's quite an early start at 5:30 in the morning. That will be mostly in the summertime. Winter times, you get to sleep in a little bit towards 6:30, and then the drives are between 3 and 4 hours, depending what we see out there and how much we get done out in the bush. We come back to campus, there'll be some brunch available made by our lovely kitchen, and then you've got a bit of time to rest. So between 11 and 3 p.m. people usually take a bit of a nap. Some students will just cover what we've done in the morning, just to recap a little bit and take a bit of much needed rest. And then afternoon drives again will start between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Again, depends on which time of the year. Summer months will start quite a bit later because it's very, very hot here. And then after that, dinner time and much needed rest. Then our classroom days are slightly more relaxed, a little bit different. Obviously, it's a lot of theory and a lot of information to take in at once. So mornings will start off at about 8 a.m. at the classroom. Everyone will meet up at 7:30, have a cup of coffee, and we'll carry on to about 11 o'clock when it's brunch and lunchtime, and then back at 3 p.m. until we finish the afternoon. So the classroom days, it will usually be 2 lectures a day. So we'll cover 2 of those modules, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. If it's sometimes longer modules like mammals, or if we do arthropods, which is the insect modules, sometimes it can be split just to get a bit more time for those. Then just a little bit about campus. I'm sure some of you saw in the video there. So the rooms, we've got 2 students that will be sharing a room. Usually we try to put the girls closer down to the bathrooms, so it's a bit closer for them. So on the left there, you've got the rooms. You've got a little patio where you can sit and just relax with the table. You've got separate cupboards. There'll be a little table in there as well for time to sit and study. Classroom in the middle there, and then like I mentioned, with those nice hot summer's days, we've got a beautiful big swimming pool just outside the classroom. That's where you just can go between after morning activity, go and cool off, before afternoon game right, go and cool off. And it doesn't really matter which time of year you come for the 6 months, because anytime you're going to be experiencing some warm weather, and that pool will be much needed. And then just another little photo of our classroom. So as you can see, they're nice big classroom, lots of space, little fan there to cool off, and that's where we'll come and sit quite a bit. All right, then on weekends, most of the weekends you will have off and time for yourselves. Sometimes some of the students like to go and explore, maybe a trip to Kruger. Saturday mornings will be spent doing a couple of practical activities, and we'll also do some Q&A sessions in the classroom, just if there are questions from students from the week before, anything you're uncertain about, the trainers will be there to help. And also sometimes do a bit of birding games where we can get some groups together and the students will go up against each other, doing a couple of birding exercises and a little bit of competition. And then at the sort of end of each semester, we've got a Bushwise challenge. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's a little bit of fun, a little bit of competition between the different groups. So I'll just leave it there as it's a surprise. All right, and then why choose Bushwise? So, like I said earlier, all of us combined, trainers combined, have about 100 years of experience from different places in South Africa. We've worked in different lodges. We haven't all worked at the same place. So the amount of knowledge is quite diverse. We've got one of our trainers who is an entomologist, and even I have learned a lot from him with insects. So there's quite a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of experience that you as students can tap into. We'll always be there to mentor you. We've got a lot of sort of student at heart. We go out of our way to try and help you. Even on weekends, if there's something students don't understand, then just pop us a question and we'll always be there to assist and to help. We do quite a lot of practical exercise. So yes, we cover the theory part of all those modules, but we try to go and apply it practically. So we go and spend quite a lot of time out on the reserve. We spend quite a lot of time in the bush, and through that you learn quite a lot. And we'll just go and sit, watch animals, see what they're doing, and through sort of that whole process, it's a really good learning process for everyone. And yeah, if there's any questions, like Amanda said, just pop in the Q&A box. I'll have a look. We do see a couple here.
Awesome, Nico. Thank you so much. That was super interesting. We have actually had a couple of questions come through. One of the questions was, how long do people stay on base if they want to do, or on campus if they want to do a Bushwise program?
So we've got the 6-month program. So it will usually run, you'll be on campus for about 3 weeks, and then you have, sorry, 4 weeks, and then you have a week break where you have off. So in general, we'll run through about 4 semesters, and then that will be the end of the course. So 4 weeks at a time on the campus, 1 week off the campus, and then yeah, that's the end.
Amazing. And could you tell us a little bit more? Well, let's actually answer that other question first, and then I just personally have a couple of questions for you. Somebody has asked or said, I started as a field guide, kind of self-study with Fugasa, but would it be a problem to join you guys? I struggle to learn on my own. So basically, I've already kind of started the self-study. It's not really my jam. Could I join you guys at this point?
Yeah, I think that will help a lot. I mean, even from my personal experience, like I said, I grew up in the bush. My grandfather was a big influence. I thought I knew a lot. I tried to do a little bit of self-study, but once I did a course like this, there's a lot more experience you can draw. You've got us as trainers to mentor you. So we've got all this experience that we can then share with someone only doing a 6-month course, which is absolutely incredible. And with the self-study, it is achievable, but I think doing a course like this, you get that practical experience, you get to meet different people. And I mean, a lot of students, I think after that 6 months, you stay friends, you form this bond with everyone. Then going into the industry, it also helps you a lot, having all these different friends that working at different places. So I think it is definitely possible, yeah.
Awesome, fantastic. Another question. This is from Christian. I hope I said that right. What are the chances of me as a German guy working in as a field guide in South Africa? Does Bushwise help me with permits?
I think Kim can possibly answer that one a little bit better than I can.
Yes, thanks for asking me to answer that, Nico. So unfortunately, we do not help students get visas after the course when it comes to work visas, exchange visas, volunteer visas, or any other kind of visa, because we are a training provider and we are an SA-based company. So we can't really be seen to be helping our international guests get jobs in South Africa. However, we will give you the best opportunity possible to be able to put yourself in the best light, to be able to then get a job offer with all the legal requirements that you need to become a field guide. And then if you do our 6-month course with a 6-month placement, this is extremely valuable for internationals because it gives you an opportunity to get a foot in the door, to gain 6 months working experience, and to prove yourself to a potential employer who may not have considered you otherwise if they knew you were an international. So it just gives you a better chance, and then they might go through the effort of helping you get your visa. But what I always tell internationals is that you should always have an option B, an option C, and an option D. Option B being, don't limit yourself to South Africa only. There are field guiding positions all over Africa. Again, we won't be able to tell you what kind of visas you need because it depends on that country and you need to speak to a specialist in that country. Option C would be going back to your home country, contacting companies that perhaps do tours and groups into South Africa or Africa and offer your services as a private guide because you've got the training and all the legal requirements to do so. And option D would be going back to your country of origin and trying to get a wildlife career there because the skills that you would have learned on our course are transferable and would help you in that light anyway. Things like tracking skills, 4x4 driving skills, general behavior of certain mammals and things are valid in other countries. And then, of course, dealing with people. You learn a lot about that on our course as well. I hope that's answered the question.
I think so, Kim. Thank you so much. That was really great. We have another question here. Somebody is asking, will we receive a recording of this webinar afterwards? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Apologies, I actually forgot to mention that at the beginning. But yes, you will receive a recording, most likely first thing Monday morning. So you will be able to rewatch the entire presentation. And the special offer for today will be valid right up until Monday midnight. So you've got some time to think about it. You've got some time to rewatch the presentation. Yeah, and then we'd love to hear from you. I think, Nico, this is a question for you from Krista. Do you have a lot of international students?
Yeah, we do get quite a lot of international students. I think it is something that is, I mean, it used to be quite a lot more. I think COVID definitely had a bit of an impact with travel and that sort of thing and permits. But yes, we do get quite a lot of international students.
Awesome, fantastic. Another question here from Ivy. How famous is the FAGASA training outside South African countries? Could it be useful anyway, I think this person may have meant anywhere?
Yeah, I think it is quite a renowned qualification, especially throughout Africa. There's quite a lot of different countries. If you had to look at Kenya, Botswana, those type of places, Namibia, they often require FAGASA. Even places like Dubai, doing desert guiding, they often look for guides that have the FAGASA qualification. So it is quite an important and extensive qualification. It is very well renowned.
Awesome, thanks. And then we have a question from Sarah Jean. Hope I'm saying that right. My biggest apologies if I'm mispronouncing your names. How do the placements work? Do you choose where you go at the end of the course, or are you assigned somewhere?
So this one, I'm also going to give over to Trevor, who works with placements. He can probably give you a really good understanding on how that works.
Awesome, thanks.
Hi, afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Nico. Thanks, Amanda. Yes, it's very much a situation of we try and monitor your personality and your sort of skill sets throughout the 6 months course. Because we obviously have contacts with various lodges and hospitality-based type of operations. Once we've got a kind of feel of you as the student, what you would like to do, but not necessarily will be able to get the opportunity to do, we will then try and match you with a suitable placement, if at all possible. It doesn't always work out in your favor initially, but any experience or any work experience you can get facing guests in a hospitality environment would be to your benefit in any event. But at some point, you know, if you stick to well, your dream of actually pursuing a field guiding career, you know, even if you start in front of us or in a reception position, you can actually move on and fulfill your dream. So it's pretty much a 50-50 sort of answer. 9 times out of 10, we do actually match your requirements or your requests with a suitable option. It doesn't always work that way, but 9 times out of 10 it does. I hope that answers.
Great, thanks so much, Trevor. Very interesting. Cool, we have another question here, and this is actually something I might weigh in on a little bit, but I think Kim's also probably best suited to help answer this one. So we have a question from Anonymous asking, what other jobs besides field guiding can you do once you've earned your FAGASA and some work experience? Would ultimately like to become a game ranger and not a field guide. Would I need a varsity degree as well as the Bushwise FAGASA qualification? So Kim, I'm going to hand over to you in a little bit, but I would just like to give an example of one of my wonderful colleagues who has actually done her FAGASA training and currently works for Bushwise as a content writer. So she obviously has a passion for writing and for words and for communication, but also for Bush. So it was definitely, I think, a huge draw card for us in terms of hiring her, because somebody who is obviously passionate about what they're writing about and somebody who knows the industry as well as she does will be able to bring a huge amount of value to the content that is being created and written. So that's just one example, but Kim, I'm sure you have much more to add there, so I'll hand over to you.
Yes, so this is kind of a tricky question, to be honest with you, because I have known lots of people in the industry that have crossed over from being a game ranger to a field guide and vice versa, or going into nature conservation, a warden, reserve management without any additional qualifications. And that was really based on where they were, who they were working with, and what doors opened for them while they were there. A lot of people get these opportunities based on who they are, not really what their qualification is when they're actually on a game reserve. But if you are officially applying for a game ranger position or one that's more nature conservation related, you most definitely will need an additional qualification. Game ranging will probably require you to do some kind of security-based course or to do with anti-poaching and things like that. And then, of course, if it depends on what kind of work that game ranger does as well. If it's going to be a little bit more related to nature conservation, then they might need to have a diploma in that as well. Again, it's quite hard to answer that, but from what I've seen and the advice that I'm going to give is rather start off as a field guide, because a field guide can take you more places and in a shortest period of time, and it will open doors at those specific game reserves when internal positions become available.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kim. Great. We have another question from Anita. I think there are a few people who could probably answer this, so anyone feel free to just jump in. Anita would like to know, is there only a 6-month course? So off the bat, I'm just going to say Bushwise, we do offer a number of different courses. Trevor is actually going to be speaking later about our online courses, and those are not 6 months long. Those will have a different kind of span over a different time period. But Kim, is this one that you would like to take?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. Is that the question about the 6-month course for that qualification?
Yes. Well, the question, this one is from Anita, and she's asking, is there only a different course? However, let's couple this up. Eileen would like to know if you, so for the field guiding NQF2, do you have to stay on base for 6 months, on campus for 6 months?
So there are various options that we are doing. The first option is the online course, which covers the theory, and then we do a compressed practical version for 35 days. You only get your full qualification once you've done both and passed it, okay? So there's various ways you can get the NQF2 qualification. The second option would be a shorter course, maybe a 2-month course, which is something we are looking to offer, but we haven't launched quite yet. And then the third option that we offer is a 6-month course with an additional option to do a 6-month placement, which makes up the year course. So the 6-month course is also known as the 23-week course. And then the full year course is also known as a 50-week course. It really depends on your time, your budget, your lifestyle, and how flexible you are with being able to get this qualification. That's why there are so many options. The main difference between the shorter courses and the long-term courses, other than you get the same qualification, is all the extras that we have on the 6-month course. Like Nico explained, you get the social media module, the photography workshop, the 4x4 driving, the tracking, all of that. And this is based on what the lodges are looking at when they are employing field guides. So it just makes you more employable, more experienced, have more skills, have more to offer, so that when you start working at that particular lodge as a field guide, the lodge doesn't have to do internal training with you on tracking or testing your 4x4 skills or testing your birding skills. They already know that you've got all of these additional qualifications because you've done the long 6-month course with Bushwise.
Great. Thanks, Kim. So many questions. I'm going to try and get through all of these before we move on to our next talk in 6 minutes. But we've got a question here from Kelly. And just to say, if we don't get to your question kind of in the next 6 minutes, we will be typing answers in the Q&A box, so continue to please keep them coming. Kelly has asked, with the 1 week break, do we have to find our own accommodation for that week, or can we live on campus? Nico, would you like to take this one?
Amanda, I'll jump in and take that one quickly. Hi, everybody. I'm Eugene. So, Kelly, great question. We've actually, what we found out from students is by the end of 4 weeks, most of our students, 99% of our students, really enjoy just being able to leave campus and getting off base and really going and exploring the areas that are around campus, like Kim mentioned, trips into Kruger. A lot of the students club in together and go on little 1 week breaks. But if there is a concern in terms of budget, that is something that we can definitely talk about if you need to find accommodation or if we've got space, because what normally happens is during the 1 week off break, we've got other courses that will come in. But if accommodation is a problem, you can definitely speak to Kim, and as soon as there's availability on campus, we will definitely be able to host you on campus. But 9 out of 10 times students love the off week, just to try and kind of get out of campus, loosen their hair a bit, and really go and explore the area. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Eugene. Now the question here, what is the minimum age to be able to attend the course, and how does it link to the age requirement for a PDP and placement? Eugene, do you want to take that one as well?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So our minimum age is 18 years old. Because we want to ensure that all our students have at least a matric certificate, and I think that's the minimum age from a FAGASA perspective. So there's 2 points. So in the industry, in South Africa at least, in order to be successfully employed to take out guests once you're qualified, you need to be of the age of 21 in order to get your PDP license. But that doesn't stop you from joining on our course. So if you were to join our 1 year program, and do the placement component, you would do what we call an under 21 placement, where we would still normally place you at either a lodge or a conservation related establishment like Trevor mentioned. So with regards to age, yeah, we take under 21s, but in order to be a legal guide, you need to be 21. That is just for South Africa. So some of our placements do range out of the borders of South Africa, like Namibia, etc. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me see here with regard to other questions. There's so many. I'm really struggling to pick which ones I want to answer. Here's a good one though. What if somebody's English isn't fluent? Like, what if somebody is not a first language English speaker? Would they be able to do the field guiding course? Is there anyone who would like to take that question specifically? You're in the hot seat.
You can go, Nico. All right. So yeah, so English is obviously quite an important language. We conduct all our training in English, but that won't stop you from. So what will normally happen is Kim and Marie conduct interviews face-to-face or via Zoom interviews to kind of just assess the level of English, because the course is predominantly, well, it's 100% in English, and the industry or the lodges that we partner, etc. I mean, you have to have a good understanding and command of English, but that hasn't stopped. I mean, we're quite proud. We've taken on our first Japanese student that's currently on course with us, and obviously English is not her first language either. But students who aren't predominantly, that really struggle with English, they do tend to learn a bit, they need more time in studying, but that's definitely not a barrier. We would obviously just assess that at the interview stage. And I can advise you further on that.
Got you. Thanks so much, Eugene. And then perhaps one for Niku. Timothy would like to know, would these qualifications help towards a career in conservation in general and animal rehabilitation, or is it guide-based? Is it a guide-based only career path?
Look, I think with something like this, we have a previous student that is involved at the moment with animal rehabilitation, that works at a bird sanctuary. So I do feel this type of course is a very good base, and you can almost branch out from a field guide course. Like Kim mentioned earlier, doing a field guide course first gives you a very good base for where you can branch off, because it does give you that baseline knowledge of the bush. So be it going into conservation, going into game ranging, animal rehabilitation, all these type of things that you learn will definitely also help in all kinds of bush related industries at the moment.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then we have a question here from Ivy. I don't know who would like to answer this. I'm just going to let anyone kind of hop in. Ivy would like to know, are there courses just to learn about the bush, so tracking, behavior, etc., without the requirement of getting a Fagasa, just for personal knowledge? So basically something a bit shorter.
Well, Ivy, yes, I think I've just replied to you, but for everybody, there is a 35-day practical course that we have offered, and this can be something that people who don't want full qualification can also join, because this will be a lot of game drives, a lot of bushwalks, and no theory. So you definitely get immersed in the bush, and you'd be doing a lot of that on our 35-day course. Over and above that, we are modularizing different focuses on our course, for example, tracking, 4x4 driving and birding, and we're going to have set dates for people to join those options. For example, if they just wanted to do a birding course for a week, this is something we would be offering and looking to in the future. So if you are interested in that, we can then tell you what dates those are and what prices that will cost you. It is a work in progress at the moment, but we are definitely looking at that option.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kim. So I am actually going to put those questions on ice for now. We will definitely come back to them after our next talk, but we do have our next speaker lined up, and that is Savanya, who is a current Bushwise student and has also just finished load shedding. I believe we've all been juggling some load shedding technicalities, and obviously having a live online virtual event with load shedding can be a little bit tricky. But Savanya, I believe you are here. Feel free to join us with your camera or just your mic if that's easier for you. Are you there? Oh dear. Savanya, can you hear me? Ooh, we are struggling a little bit. Savanya, I'm going to share your presentation in the meantime, just so we can all see it on screen. Let's see what we can do here. Okay. Nice.
Hi, Amanda, are you able to hear me?
I can hear that you are trying to get through, but we're not hearing much.
That's fine. I can step in there for her, Amanda, and Savanya, as soon as your signal's a bit better, just break, and then just for the sake of continuing, I'll give it my best shot.
Awesome. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. Cool. Okay, so here we've got Savanya's presentation. I'm going to skip to the first slide. There we go.
So it's obviously a bit weird to speak on behalf of Savanya, but I have had the opportunity of obviously meeting Savanya. And I just want to start off by saying that this is obviously, it's great for Bushwise and it's great for the industry. Savanya is obviously from Johannesburg, and she is, by the name, she's obviously a female aspiring guide. And I just want to touch on that. It's quite important. A lot of people might think, you know, when we're talking about rifles, we're talking about tracking and elephants and lions, people tend to think it's a very male dominated industry. And I'm very glad to say that that mentality is really not the case. This is an industry that is very much women empowered as well. We've got amazing young female guides on our courses, and Savonia is obviously one of them. Just FYI, Savonia is one of our top students at the moment as well. And just a little bit about Savonia. So why did she choose Bushwise? She's always had a love and fascination of nature and wildlife. She's pursued a degree in conservation ecology at Stellenbosch University. And this has really helped her to discover the passion, her passion for environmental education and socio-ecological systems. She enrolled with Bushwise, obviously, to gain some practical experience as a stepping stone into her career. So just touching on that, a lot of people asked, what are the other career opportunities from field guiding? And I know Kim and the team really touched on that. So, I mean, Bushwise itself, you get obviously FOGASA standard, which regulates us, and you get Bushwise. Somebody also asked earlier about is FOGASA recognized. So Bushwise has been a career in field guiding can be seen as a stepping stone into multiple different factors of the conservation industry, from conservation management, game ranch management. A lot of researchers do our courses, because what the bush teaches you is really one of the most important aspects for me is situational awareness, how to conduct yourself out in the field, what to look for when dealing with big five animals, etc. So yeah, I mean, Savonia is doing really amazingly well on the course at the moment, and we think we're at the last semester and should be going into her placement soon, which is really, really exciting. Next slide.
Thank you, Trevor. You're doing very well as a Bushwise student. There we go.
So Savonia, if you're online, about 5 out of 10 on the sound. All right. Anyway, so as Savonia has mentioned, yeah, what a typical day looks at Bushwise. So with the 2 starting dates, which is quite, we've got a starting date in January and another starting date in July. So the students that arrived in January, like Savonia, they've really gone through the heat of the summer. So that's why she's mentioned that the days are very, very hot. It's going to be the exact opposite for our July intake, when they're going to be starting in the middle of, really in the height of our winter month. So like she said, the days are quite long. They start anywhere between 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning. And that is done by game drives in the morning, followed by classroom sessions and some walks around campus, except like botany walks and birding, and getting to really understand all the different trees and leaf structures, etc. We've got an amazing team of chefs at the campus. You'll get to meet Rose at the Mashlashla campus. And you can really be assured that you'll have really warm cooked homely meals on campus. There's definitely a bit of free time, because I know it might seem as if the days are long and it's just a lot of courses and training, but there's definitely a lot of free time during the day and at the evening after activities. Perfect. Next slide. So what type of activities do the students get their hands dirty with? So there's a lot of, because this is at least the FOGASA component, it is quite theory based. A lot of theory that needs to be covered, but we kind of combine that between classroom studying. And what we felt is students learn, especially when you're trying to teach students about field guiding and mammal behavior, etc. A lot of the training and knowledge that you gain actually happens outside in the field. So we're not a school type of environment where it's just lectures and classroom sessions, etc. There's a fine balance between classroom sessions as well as out in the field practical components. So morning and afternoon game drives. The best way to learn to be a field guide is actually behind the steering wheel of a big safari vehicle. So our students obviously get to drive the vehicles under the leadership and careful eye of our trainers like Niku, etc. And they can kind of steer you with tips and tricks, especially with some of the students that need to actually get to know how to drive a manual vehicle. All our safari vehicles are manually operated, so that clutch control is quite important, but our trainers obviously will assist you with all of that. Obviously they do a lot of their first aid. Safety is really, really important out in the bush, so our students get training in first aid and get certified. Reptile orientation, to know what kind of signs and the different reptiles are to look out for. track and sign. I think this is by far my most favorite, and by the feedback received from the students is one of the most exciting components of our course. Rifle handling, hosting of formal dinners. So this is more touches on our hospitality component of our program, where you get to understand and we teach our students the different aspects of hospitality in the industry, like wine pairing, how to set tables, hosting guests, etc. 4x4 training, like I mentioned, really, really important to try and drive one of these bad boys out in the field. Astronomy, obviously a great understanding of the night sky and how to include that into a guest experience, which is very, very important. And yeah, like Nick also mentioned, all our trainers and fellow students, we kind of all in it together. So there's never a case of, as soon as somebody feels, oof, this information is a bit overwhelming, we kind of are a tight-knit Bushwise community of love and support, and we really ensure that we all kind of get to the same level at the same time. So that's really, really important. Next one. The Bushwise experience, knowledge, knowledge, and more knowledge, as Savanya says there. Yes, like I mentioned, there's the training really encompasses mammals, birds, insect. It's kind of think about wildlife as it is. There are so many, a lot of people think it's all about the big five. We're going to go guide tourists. We want to learn about the animals, the big five, etc. But as an example, you need to understand ecology is the fundamental starting point. How does everything fit into a system to kind of, when you're out on safari, to kind of tell a greater story, because you might be out in the middle of the Sabi Sands, and on a bad day, you might not see any big game. So how do you really gauge and capture the audience or your client in the back of the vehicle? And that's really important to kind of know all the little details that goes into the environment, like the trees, the grasses, flowers, the tracks. It's really, everything is really interrelated. Yeah. And ultimately what we're trying to achieve is how to become the best guide you can be. But it's not just, in my opinion, it's not all just about field guide training. Really the core of what Bushwise is trying to achieve, and this is one thing that I noted down, is when you leave Bushwise, what we are trying to create is really ambassadors of the natural world. So for instance, I think we've got a German speaking person on the call today, is to really capture students from across the world and across South Africa, etc., that when they don't pursue a career in field guiding, obviously we would like them to, but that they can really go and spread that message of conservation, looking after the environment. And you can only do that through education and actually having a knowledge yourself. So ultimately we want to create the best guides, but also ambassadors of the natural world. Next slide. The Bushwise experience continues. Students become family and staff become family. It's like I said, we're really tight-knit Bushwise community on campus. You get to, I think what's also important, I think those that have gone to university, etc., you put a bunch of people that have the same mission and goal into a camp together, the amount of ideas and energy that is really on campus, because it's such a special moment when everybody arrives on campus. Kind of nobody really knows a lot, but that enthusiasm is just so infectious, and it's really lovely to see and be part of like-minded, being in a camp with like-minded people. But also that, with our international students coming on, students coming in from Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, you get exposed to so many different cultures. So that's why I really think it's such an asset to have students from different places around the world, because ultimately you're going to be, once you're in the industry, you're going to have these people as guests. So it's great to know how to communicate with different people from different cultures, different religions even. So it's really great. And it's absolutely, like Savanya says, yeah, it's a journey of self-discovery. Absolutely. I couldn't have put that better. Slide. So this is who's Bushwise for? Why Savanya would recommend people to join Bushwise. So Bushwise is obviously a place where we love the bush. We're all about conservation. We're conservation like-minded people, but it's people that really have a love and a passion for nature and wildlife. You would need to have love to work with people, because it's all about, once you're a guide, you kind of, yes, you need a good foundation knowledge of the wilderness, but it's most important you need to be a good people's person. So a lot of people are, you get naturally extroverts and introverts, and our introverts have what you kind of learn is how to switch on, because it's all about being in the moment in the game, because you have to keep kind of guests entertained. So loving people is definitely part of the job. And like I said, we're trying to create ambassadors of the natural world. So you need to be a person that really wants to make a difference in the global context. Your background and prior experiences kind of doesn't matter. I couldn't agree more. You could be studying IT and you just like, I'm stuck in a world that how am I going to make an impact? So this is really an industry where you can make an impact, which is amazing. I like how Savanya says that all you need is the right attitude and a love for the bush. I couldn't have put it better. Any questions for Savanya?
Thank you, Eugene / Savanya. You've done fantastically. Savanya is very apologetic. She has actually explained that she is currently at Kruger Park with her Bushwise friends and is struggling with the internet.
I hope I did it justice, Savanya.
So she is here, she is online. But I wonder if we should just take a moment to kind of pop back over to the Q&A box, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop sharing my screen quickly. Well, actually, no, I'll leave it there because I'm going to be sharing the next presentation as well. So just popping back to the Q&A box, I see it's really has been blowing up. So I'm so glad that we have such an engaged, curious audience today. We have a question from Anonymous who would like to know, is the placement always within South Africa, or could I get a placement, for example, in Botswana? Does anyone want to take that one?
Yep, I'm here. Hello, folks.
Awesome.
Hi. It's a good question. Once again, Kim touched upon it earlier. Dependent on visa entry requirements of various countries in Southern Africa, it could get complicated, although I find their entry requirements are a lot less stringent than South Africa's. We have managed to place in the past in places like Namibia, as Eugene mentioned earlier, and we are continuously exploring other places. Some of the rules and regulations don't necessarily fit nicely in with what we would like to achieve, but it's an ongoing business in terms of trying to source these places. So the answer is yes. And we kind of try and address these requests or expectations on a case-by-case basis. So I hope that answers the question as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Trevor. And maybe another question for you while we have you here. What kind of wildlife can be found on the Bushwise campus, or is it fenced?
Okay, so just a little bit of background then. We have two campuses, but the one that we're particularly very proud of and where we have conducted most of our business for the last 12, 14 years is the Mashlasha campus, which is actually about a 100-hectare small holding bordering a major nature reserve known as Makalali Game Reserve. So on campus, yes, it is fenced. With general plains game, not a hell of a lot, but yes, you've got your impalas and you got a lot of sable and kudus and bushbuck wandering around, so it is reasonably safe. Although we occasionally do get the occasional visit from those mysterious leopards. When we're actually on the reserve, we are exposed to just about every type of big five animal you can think of, and we often get sporadic wild dog bands coming into the reserve. We've got a couple of our own. I call we because we've been working with Makalali for the last however many years. But yes, everything from a big five category to some really special flagship species Everybody's favorite is a giraffe because of the long eyelashes, and of course zebra because of the stripes. But yes, just about everything you can think of.
Great, thanks, Trevor. We have a question from Tsepo, who has actually said that he can't wait to finish matric in 2024 because he'll be hopefully joining Bushwise in 2025. So thank you so much, Tsepo. Tsepo would like to know, how often do students have a chance to visit their family during the course, and what are double barrel question, and what are students kind of expected to bring, like blankets or yeah, I guess, what does a student bring to campus? Kim, would you like to take this one?
Sorry, just say that again, Amanda.
So Temple would like to know, how often do students have a chance to visit their family during the course? And what should students bring? What is the expectation? Do they bring blankets or sleeping bags or nothing?
Great question.
Floaties for the pool? Like what is the,
yes, to all of the above. No, so students can have friends and family visits during off weeks, but off campus there are places in and around the campuses where we can recommend for them to visit. And then if there are friends or family that want to pop on campus, this is also possible. We just ask that they make a request first to management to see what is happening on that time and if there's a way we can fit them in. And also, of course, depends on availability. And then kits and equipment, what students need to bring is bedding is all included. They just need to bring a towel, swimming towel as well, personal items, toiletries, any kits and equipment, so good walking boots, a good hat, sunglasses, any additional like type of clothes that are natural colored, binoculars, a camera if you're a good into photography, maybe some extra reference books. There is a great library on campus though, which students can access. So not a lot of kits and equipment. And then if students are wanting to go into trails guiding, a good backpack, of course, a great water bottle, gaiters if possible. There's actually a fantastic blog on our website that was written by a student, and it gives everybody good tips on what extra things they should pack. And then there is some access to information regarding this that we can email people if they want an extensive list.
Awesome, thanks, Kim. Perhaps another question for yourself or for Trevor, whoever wants to take it. Anonymous has said that they've seen online that we offer online courses for 16-year-old and over. What is the advantage, or what advantage is it for a 16-year-old to start this early? And if you pass, does it count towards the field guiding qualification?
Kim, do you want this one?
Trev, I think you've got this one.
All right. In the context of the question, FAGASA's minimum entry requirement to any one of their programs, remember FAGASA, the Field Guides Association of Africa or Southern Africa, we're endorsed by them to offer these courses. So generally speaking, you could do what is known as their nature enthusiast course, which is targeted for the 16 to 18-year-old group, which obviously once you've done that online, because there's no formal training provider that actually provides for that niche, you can go ahead and acquire that qualification, but it does not count towards the NQF2, or in this case, the apprentice field guide qualification, because it's obviously a much higher degree of expectation that's required, 20 times more the actual knowledge base that you would be required. So yes, you could do it, but effectively it won't count towards the NQF2 qualification. You would need to do that course separately. But yeah, at least from a general knowledge point of view and a participation and self-gratification point of view, you can't be excluded from it.
Great, thank you so much. And then we have a question from Safari Scott. Thank you so much for your question. Scott would just like a little more information. I think Kim, probably you're best suited to answering this, with regard to safety. So this kind of encompasses things like travel and medical insurance for international students. malaria risk during different times of the year, safety concerns within the camp, obviously the animals being one of the considerations, fencing, safety traveling to and from camp. Kim, are you able to provide us with a bit more information?
Yes, I will answer on some of them, and then I'll get Nico to answer regarding safety on campus, because he's the one that's there every day. And there are definitely high standards of safety on campus because of our health and safety protocols and policies. So I'll leave him to answer that. But in the meantime, all of our international students need travel and medical cover, because this is a requirement for the study visa applications. Malaria on campuses. We are in a malaria area, so we do ask students to take all precautions available to them, which is either getting mosquito nets, using repellents, and then of course it's your personal choice to take anti-malaria tablets. We do ask that all students consult with their GPs before doing so, because of the type of medication that is. It does have quite strong side effects and can even mask the symptoms if a student does get malaria. But the staff are highly trained in, what can I say, health and safety and first aid. So if a student is showing symptoms that are similar to malaria, we have malaria testing kits on site. So we test students on site straight away. And if they are positive, we get their medical attention straight away. If that's caught early, they don't even get that sick, and hopefully they can get on medication straight away. But like I said, it is a personal choice. I can tell you that in the last few years, none of our staff and students have contracted malaria, and I've been living in Hoedspruit for 7 years and I have never had malaria. So again, it's just a personal choice and how you want to manage your own risk. Then in terms of safety outside of the campuses, the area that we are in is a wildlife mecca with lots of big game reserves and lots of big farms. Generally, our crime is quite low, and the type of serious crimes are quite low in terms of statistics. But you need to remember that crime can happen anywhere in South Africa and anywhere in the world. So we ask students to be savvy about how and where they travel. If they are traveling to high-risk areas like Johannesburg, to just practice good things like not walk around with your cell phone in your hand, always be with a group of people, things like that, and just be smart about things. You know, don't leave your window open with jewelry on your body in city centers, things like that. A lot of our students don't generally travel to those areas anyway. They're normally traveling to remote areas on off weeks in the bush. The bush is the safest place to be, in my opinion. So I hope that answers that question.
Great, thanks, Kim. Nico, do you want to talk a little bit about safety on campus?
Yeah, thanks, Kim. Yeah, so safety on campus. We, at the start of each course, all the trainers will go through all the things you shouldn't touch on campus. So also when we do the reptile orientation, so in terms of safety with snakes, which snakes are dangerous, that you shouldn't be handling them. All the guides or the trainers will take care of that, but we don't see a lot of those, so don't stress too much. Spiders will have different safety protocols for in cases of fires, where our meeting points are. We'll run emergency action plans every sort of week just to get everyone familiar with what the plans are when there is an emergency. In terms of moving around on campus, I think Trevor covered it a little bit earlier in terms of what animal life to expect. If students are moving around in groups, you can explore campus. We encourage that. Walk around, go, just go and enjoy it. You've got 100 hectares of open bush. You can go and walk around and explore. Do it with other students. Do it in a group, and it is all fine. And in the evenings, you will get some visitors with things like honey badgers that will come in, and yeah, just be with other students. But in terms of safety on campus, we will be there to sort of tell you the do's and don'ts, and it is a really safe area.
Great, thanks, Nico. Perhaps a question for you, Kim. What are the entrance requirements for a full field guiding course?
Entry requirements is really good English, because it is all about communicating with your guests at the end of the day. Passion for nature and wanting to gain a career. You need to have a driver's license for 1 year, but only if you're wanting to do the 6-month or year course. And then you also need to obviously not have a criminal record in case you need to get a PDP or apply for a study visa. And for South Africans, they do need to have a matric certificate.
Great. Thank you so much. We've got 1 minute left before our next talk. So I'm going to pick one of these questions, and then any of the questions that we haven't gotten to, we will come back to after the talk. I am going to go with this one from Danica, which I think Kim is just about to start answering. Danica says, I'm currently in matric and I'm considering joining Bushwise next year, but only turned 18 in October. So will I be able to get my license, and will obviously only be able to get my license after that? Would that be a problem? And how does the 4x4 license through you guys work?
Great question. I hope no one minds me answering this, but we get this question quite a lot, especially for people that are in matric and they want to join the course in January next year. So first of all, driver's license. Yes, we do require that you have your driver's license for at least 1 year. But in South Africa, you can get your learner's license at 17 and do a lot of driving for a year until you're 18. So we do take that into consideration. So as long as you have your license to start the course, that's fine. If it's a little bit less than a year, we do get students to acknowledge a memorandum of understanding, which is all about they understand that they perhaps don't have the driving experience that is required, and it might affect the outcome on the course and their placements. Then in terms of the 4x4 driver's license, there is no 4x4 driver's license that you require. I think you might be referring to the public driver's permit. Correct me if I'm wrong, Danica. But the public driver's permit is something that guides need to take paying guests on safari, and you can only get that when you're 21. So basically what that means is you can still get your field guiding qualifications and do all the training, but you can't actually get a job as a field guide until you get a public driver's permit. However, there are lodges that are hiring under 21 field guides where they're not necessarily driving guests around. So they might be doing children's programs, boat safaris, horse guiding safaris, bushwalking. If you get your apprentice trails guide, you can still guide without your public driver's permit. So there are options. They are far and few between, but we've seen some of our under 21s just make things work for them, where they're able to work at a lodge as a tracker and wait until they're 21, or they help in front of house or hosting and things like that. So there are options to do that. So for under 21s, I always tell them they've got a choice. They can choose to do the course when they're 18, 19, and 20 and see what happens during and after their placement. There's no guarantees. Or they can choose to work or travel or study something wildlife related to add to their experience and qualifications, and then choose to do a field guiding course when they're 20, turning 21, so that they can go straight into a working career as a field guide when they graduate.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kim. The horseback safari sounds incredible. That got my attention. Awesome. So we're a little bit over time. So I'm going to quickly start our next presentation. It is a video recording because unfortunately Danielle was not able to be with us today. She is on a game drive. But I'm going to share the video and then we can pick up after that. Whoop, here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danielle Gravenstein, and I will be your Bushwise alumna speaking for today. First of all, I just would like to apologize for not being here live. I have guests at the moment. Currently, I am out on safari while you're listening to this, but I made a short presentation for you, and we'll go through that now together. Just hold on one moment while I share my screen with you. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, Danielle Gravenstein. So a little bit about myself. I grew up in Volksrust and I matriculated from Volksrust High School in 2016. In 2017, I studied photography through Tina School's Academy. And then in 2021, I obtained my marketing and tourism bachelor's degree through the Northwest University. So I've always had a passion for the bush, and I knew I wanted to do something in the bush. And with my photography background, I love doing wildlife photography. Me and my parents would visit the Kruger National Park in literally anytime we got the chance, we would visit the Kruger National Park. So I knew I wanted to do something in the bush, even if it's lodge management or a receptionist or anything. I knew I wanted to be in the bush. Yes, so Bushwise gave me the perfect opportunity to live out my dream. So I first started with the Bushwise online course. So during lockdown in 2020, while I was still finishing my BCom studies online, I had a lot of free time on my hands. And I was scrolling through social media one day, and a Bushwise post came on my feed about their new online course. So it didn't take me very long to sign up for the course. And at first, I just did it to keep myself busy during lockdown. But as we progressed through the course, I realized that this is something that I want to do. And I signed up for the second course as well. And then eventually I ended up applying for the 6 months practical as well. So with the online course, we went through all the Fugasa modules. We wrote tests after every module. We wrote a big test at the end of the week. And then eventually we did write our Fugasa level 1 test. During the online course, before I did my 6 months practical, it just made me feel so much more comfortable and prepared to what to expect in the bush. It just gave me that little bit of extra knowledge that I needed to go out in the bush. So my classmates on the online course were all over the world, and it was so nice to meet all different nationalities and to share that same passion that we have for the wildlife with other people. I still have some contact with some of them as well. So I would really recommend the online course if you are in another country and you have a big passion for South African bush, but you just can't get here yet. I really do recommend the online course to start with, and then also doing your practical after that. So in my Bushwise course started in January 2021, and I started my 6 months course with 17 other students. So the course kicked off with the trainers giving us a lesson on how to use the Land Cruisers, how to drive around safely, because a lot of us didn't have experience with driving around such big vehicles. Most of us, some of us were from different nationality or different country, and they drive on the other side of the road. So the trainers went through everything with us to teach us how to be the best driver that we could be. And we quickly became confident in ourselves, and we were on the roads in the bush guiding our fellow classmates in no time. We started with the basic knowledge as a base to build on later in the course as we progressed through the course. So we progressed through the course, going through each module in the Fugasa handbook very, very thoroughly. We wrote tests every week to monitor our progress through the course and to prepare us as well for the big Fugasa level 1 exam. So this is something that Bushwise really, really make sure they do is to prepare us for that very big exam at the end. Going through each module, if you need to go through it more than once, they always put in that extra little bit to help us. So how our day normally looked like was early mornings and late afternoons. We will go on drives to implement what we learned in class and from our trainers, and get more confident in driving people around, and also working on our soft skills. So that's what we did in the mornings and the afternoons. Between the drives, we had class, so we went through for part of a Focasa module or the whole module. We had class, we had questions, we had to fill out our workbook. So you have a very big Focasa workbook that you have to fill out. So we worked through that. If you had any questions, you'd ask the trainers and they'll help you with anything that you need. But luckily it wasn't all study and driving around. We also had a lot of time to relax and have some fun on weekends as well. So we had a swimming pool on our property, and that kept us very cool during the hot summer days. It provided a lot of fun for everyone. And then we also went on sleep outs, sleeping under the stars. A lot of us haven't experienced that before. It was my first time experiencing that. And it's just amazing to sleep under the stars, and you hear the night sounds, and you hear a hyena calling or a lion roaring or something. And it's just amazing to experience it with 17 other students that also have a passion for the wildlife. It was just an amazing experience. So yeah, during the 6 months, lifetime friendships was formed. I've met some of my best friends during this course. After our first leave, so they do prepare you and try to get you into a cycle. So you'd normally go 4 weeks on and then have a week rest. And so after our first leave, we were granted the opportunity to start walking with our trainers out in the bush, just as participants, to see how we do the walks and everything. And there's actually, you learn so much more from the walking. You go into the little details, the dung beetles, the trees, plants, flowers, insects, even tracks. So you go into smaller details, stuff that you don't normally see while you walk, while you drive out in the vehicle. So you look at the smaller details, and you realize that it's not all about the big 5 animals. So after our 6 months of course, we did a placement internship program. So Bushwise really helped us with this, and they sent the companies or lodges, they've sent our CVs through to them. They made sure we had an interview with them. They made sure that we are ready to go and everything. So I was placed at African Impact for my 6 months internship. And here was where I could implement all my skills that I've learned in the real guiding world. So all my soft skills, my knowledge, my driving skills, everything that I've learned from Bushwise, I could now implement this sort of like a trial period where you are still an intern, and you can trial this everything that you've learned over the past 6 months. And yeah, so that was really appreciated that we get this opportunity to go out and still learn and implement everything that we've learned. So how Bushwise has impacted my life. So Bushwise gave me the opportunities to become the best possible field guide that I can be. And I've learned life skills way behind my years, and I made very good friends that became like a family to me. So as you can see, that is our girl group on the photo, which is missing one girl. And these girls are like my sisters now, and yeah, and I adore them so much and I love them so much. So today I work at Sabi Sabi Game Reserve, and it's all thanks to my Bushwise family, Sharon and Trevor, Lindy, Jack, everyone that helped me to get here, because I would never be able to be where I am today without them. All their hard work and the long hours and the support that they gave us it's the reason why I am where I am today. Yeah. So how Bushwise also helped me to launch my career. So Bushwise helped launching my career by preparing me and teaching me skills that is needed to become the best possible guide that you can be. So they taught us soft skills, how to work with guests. It's about the little things that guests appreciate when you do go out with them, about listening in their conversations and hearing, oh, they would like to see a lion. And maybe the next day, without even asking, would you like to go see lions? You go out and see lions and surprise them with that. Or a little something that you heard, that their favorite drink is a dry rosé, and when they are at dinner, you ask them, can you give them this nice dry rosé? So it's small things like that that Bushwise helped me to pick up on, that, to listen out for that, even if you're not driving, while you're hosting your guests, to listen out for that small details. That is what makes you a great guide. To be a guide is very long and hard hours. So how Bushwise helped is they kept us in a routine that you would normally follow when you are a guide. So you're out early mornings, and you walked, or you did a class in the afternoon after game drive, and then you went out again in the morning, in the afternoon. So, and this prepared me to know what to expect while I'm guiding, and that is how it is. So you go out very early in the morning, and you go on a walk. After that, you have drop-offs, you have pickups and everything. So it was nice from Bushwise side to keep us in this routine, to make us to know what to expect when you are guiding. Yes. So with my placement, I had the opportunity, like I said, to implement all these things that I've learned over the past 6 months, and I still use all of the skills and the knowledge that I've learned from Bushwise today and from my trainers. So every day when I go out and drive, I remember one small detail that they taught me, and that small detail can make a drive from being an average drive to an excellent drive. Yeah, so it's all these small little details that Bushwise helped me. I don't even realize it until I'm out there, and I'm like, oh, this is something that they taught me, and I can implement this. It's just amazing. So my plans for the future, like I said, I working at Sabi Sabi at the moment. So I just started at Sabi Sabi, and I will still be a guide here for a little while. But my future goal is to open up my own photography safari company, and to combine my passion for wildlife and guiding, and share it with other people and help them to get the best experience possible. But like everything else, patience is key, and there's a lot of steps to take and to finally be at your end destination. And also with Sabi Sabi, they also give you the best opportunities. So it's wherever you are, they just help you grow as a guide, and I'm so grateful for Sabi Sabi as well for doing that for me, helping me to grow, pushing me to my limits, and giving me free reins to grow as my own person, and also as my own guide. Yes. So just a few photos from my time at Bushwise. So that was our little swimming pool. I think this was the first day that we met everyone, and the first day at camp. So we went out on drives. So this is our sleep house. So we literally slept under the stars. That night was a bit cloudy. You had to boil your water for coffee and for wash up. So our track and sign assessment. We also did movie nights. We made some food. So we gave our chef a day off, and we decided we're gonna make everyone some food. There's our little team. Some of our girls. Yeah, so sometimes when a tree is knocked over, you have to get in there and get that tree out of the road. This was the cleanup crew of the bush. Some arts and crafts, drawing some tracks out to map out how the tracks are going. Here we go. So if you have any questions, my contact details is listed below. Please, you can email me at any time, and I will get back to you as soon as possible with any questions that you might have. I'm more than happy to answer them. Then I also hope that you choose Bushwise as your to help you through your guiding career. I am so glad that I made the choice to go with Bushwise for my guiding career. It was just the best possible experience, and the way they've looked after us and the way they made sure that everything was fine and that, yeah, it was just amazing. So yeah, please enjoy the rest of your in virtual open day, and I hope to see you soon as Bushwise students. There we go. Enjoy the rest of your day. Just stop.
Awesome. So that was Danielle, and it was just, I think, really wonderful hearing about her her Bushwise experience. Very sad that she couldn't be here with us today, but as I said, she is out on a bush drive, but do feel free to reach out to her or to Kim or Marie or anyone on the Bushwise team if you have any more questions or would like to be connected with a past participant or past student, someone who's done a Bushwise course before. They would be very happy to connect you. And it is now 4:35, so on the dot. So I'm going to hand over to Trevor now to talk about our Bushwise online programs. We will continue to answer questions in the Q&A box, and then there will be a little time after Trevor's talk for some more questions. So please don't go anywhere. Trevor, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Just bear with me for a second or two. I need to find my share screen. Wow. All the previous panelists have actually made my task quite simple because concepts and understandings of what our course is all about has been explained in quite a lot of detail. So thank you to everyone who participated. Obviously, I am here. I'm tasked as a panelist to explain a little bit more about the online exam. So I'm going to ask you just to bear with me for a second while I find my screen so that I can share it with you. Okie dokie, coming online now. Thanks, folks. Just bear with me another second longer. We're almost there.
Trev, while we are waiting for your screen, I was looking at the photo that Danielle shared of all the girls and how proud I am because each and one of them are currently working. Jenica is a horse safari guide at Ant's Nest. Erin, Gina, and Teo also field guides currently working at different game reserves. So that made me really, really proud.
Yes, it's really nice. It's really nice to see how they've developed over the months and in a relatively short time. I mean, Danielle is basically, she completed her year with us doing the course and obviously the internship. And now, of course, gainfully employed at one of the top safari lodges in the country at Sabi Sands. So yeah, testimony to all the hard work that the trainers on the ground and obviously the management and marketing team in succeeding in achieving this goal. All right, so just a quick one then. I'll try not to take as long as the other folks, so we got some more time for the question and answer sessions. I'm going to introduce the Nature Enthusiast online course in its basic form, with the understanding that it was implemented so that we could use it as a platform to have aspiring student goers or those wishing to do the full 6-month course, to give them a little bit of a springboard in terms of gaining the sort of baseline knowledge, that they would need to explore in depth while they're on course. The course is set up in such a way that by the time you've completed the online course, you're actually already a good 70 or 80% prepared for the actual the hard yards you're going to have to complete on the ground, whether it be for the 35-day practical or the 6-month or even the year course. All right, so just quickly a little bit more about myself. All right, that's actually a little bit wrong, but this was created when I was a lead trainer. I'm now the GM, but I do still have a lot of training, how can I say, opportunities, which is my first love. I've been with Mishlashta and with Bushwise for quite some time, and obviously I have a lot of experience, but I'm not gonna sing my own praises. Let's just say I'm the right man for the job. And when I have you chaps out here on the ground, we'll get to meet personally. and hopefully I can share all my experiences and my knowledge to your best benefit. The rest of the team needs not too much introduction, because Nico has done a very famously good job with it. But I rely a lot on my colleagues, both Vaughan and Francois, who are respectively the two head trainers at the separate campuses that we have. Bearing in mind, I'm describing the online team now, not necessarily the training team on the ground. The other person that's this is the front line, how can I say, team of the online team is Tamlin, who deals with all student-related questions, queries, etc., etc. And I just want to make a special mention here that the people behind the scenes, who, if I was to show them on this presentation, would probably take another half an hour introducing everyone. But I want to say a special mention to Sandy and to Sarah Ann, because these two are the nuts and bolts behind the scenes. Thank you, you two. Right. With that being said, we've been throwing around a lot of acronyms. And for those of you that may be not too familiar with all the acronyms going around, Bushwise has got various partners, but the two big ones are FAGASA, the acronym standing for Field Guides Association of Southern Africa, and now our umbrella and how can I say, our partner is GVI, which basically stands for Global Vision International, a huge multinational company, and we're proud to be part of them. And that means you guys, as aspiring student guides, will have only but the best in terms of what is available. Alrighty. All our courses are endorsed by FAGASA. We follow their curriculum, which is the laid down curriculum recognized by a government authority known as CATHSETA. I'm not going to explain that that acronym just yet because it'll leave you tongue-tied. But basically, if you don't understand the upskilling and skills development sort of framework within Southern Africa or South Africa, we have various serious. Sorry guys, I'm losing it here. We have sector education training authorities who oversee any sort of skills development, upliftment, training, if you want to call it that. And one of the sectors, obviously, that Bushwise falls into is the tourism sector. Being endorsed by CATHSETA means then that this is a bona fide and genuine, how can I say, training provider, and that we are here to stay and we provide only the best. Their selection criteria, of course, is quite stringent. So rest assured, the training you're going to get, whether it be on the ground or online, is going to be of the best quality. Okay, I'm just scrolling down. Thanks, folks. As far as the learning journey is concerned for online, it is basically a two-pronged approach. The first one is what we call the Nature Enthusiast course, which lasts for 8 weeks. And in these 8 weeks, where we provide tuition via slides, interactive video replays, if for want of a word, masterclass expert speakers, and masterclasses, webinars chaired usually either by myself or one of the two other trainers I mentioned earlier, where we discuss all the modules for that particular week. And as Danielle Besser mentioned earlier in her presentation, we cover all the subjects, albeit in a little bit more of an abbreviated form, so that you can get those basic, principles embedded by the time you hit the ground running. So all those 17 modules that Nico mentioned earlier is covered on the online. All right. We've then added on an additional 4 weeks so that we can explore the Apprentice Trails Guide concept, particularly aimed at trails on foot in Big Five territory, and how to deal with the safety aspect if you come across one of those big, nasty, hairy animals that want to do you harm. So Ideally, you want to do the full 12-week program before hitting the ground, because that'll have you completely ready to embrace all the hard work that's going to come in the following months. How you will learn? Basically, there will be various modules that you'll have to go through reading. That's the required information, knowledge that you need to try and embed. We engage with discussions online on a platform known as the Canvas platform. Those links, etc., will be sent to you when you sign on for the online program. And it's quite a user-friendly platform, something that makes things quite easy. We don't want to complicate things. So if you're not completely IT articulate, I can guarantee you wouldn't have a problem with with navigating this particular platform. I've already mentioned live webinars and expert masterclasses. Now, these take place twice in a week, on a Tuesday and a Thursday, respectively, starting at 5 o'clock South African Standard Time. So yes, unfortunately, if you're in the likes of the USA and stuff, you need to juggle your times and obviously adjust your settings so that you don't miss these. They are pre-recorded, as is this one, and they are circulated the following day, and you can go back to it and obviously recap and review everything that was discussed. These weekly get-togethers usually end with a quiz, a pop quiz, to try and test your sort of general knowledge once you've gone through the reading resources. And it also culminates with an assignment, which, as Danielle said, well, she called it a test. It is in essence a test. And the whole idea is to test if that knowledge has been embedded. And generally speaking, because of the simplicity of the way the layout is, it makes it all the easier. Okay, as part of the resources for the online, you will receive digital copies of all your study material, together with what I call a learner workbook, which is basically used and submitted for the likes of FAGASA and submitted to CASITA, respectively, as a portfolio of evidence. All right, so think of it, all the homework that you've done, where there's a question that needs to be researched, it's all documented, and that together with your exam results or test results, together with practical observations in the field, when you're out here, will then deem you fit to become a legal guide at some point in the future. Okay, other optional resources that online students can make use of are a WhatsApp group, which we start at the beginning of every cohort, and we share ideas, we share thoughts, discussions, apart from the facility on the Canvas platform. There's video conferencing, which we often use, and the discussions, as I said, which usually arise due to a question and answer session at the end of each webinar. So yes, it's I'm gonna say it's three-dimensional, and we try to ensure that by the time you hit the ground running here, that your career in field guiding is about to take off. That being said, I'm opening the floor to any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Trevor. That was very interesting. And I will definitely mention to Sandy and Sarah Ann that you gave them a shout out. We do have loads of questions. Also a comment from Ivy saying, hi, Trevor. She's done the Bushwise online course, and she's just letting everyone else know that she's done that. Right, where do we pick up? So we had a great question actually that I wanted to start with. And it was, just looking for it now, apologies. Right, where did we go? So sorry, there were so many questions here that
How about Danica's question, Amanda, where she's saying that, do we recommend that she does the Nature Enthusiast online course before joining the year course in July? Trevor can answer that because this is something quite interesting that we've implemented during lockdown. And
awesome.
Okay, yes, I'll pick up there with the greatest of pleasure. Thank you, Kim. I strongly recommend that you do the online course before joining any one of the practical courses, whether it be the 35-day or the 6-month stroke, or should I say the 23 or 50-week course. I can tell you now that there is a lot of work that needs to be done on a day-to-day basis on the 23 stroke 50-week course, because it is a mixture, as you've seen from previous slides, of activities to get you into the routine and familiarize you as a future field guide to the actual amount of hours that you need to put in to succeed as a field guide. The perception might be that it's going to be, a really nice journey. You get to live in the bush for 6 months, et cetera, but you don't want to arrive at your workplace and get a sudden shock when you have to put in an 18-hour day. So hopefully that doesn't put, scare people away, but definitely the online is highly recommended. And in fact, I would always go as far as to say, I would insist that you actually do it. Now, Kim, here, maybe you just want to add, with regards to signing on for the 23-week course or whatever, where does the online option fall in?
so what we did is when we started implementing the online course to cover the theory because of COVID and we weren't sure what was going to happen, when we actually got the students on campus, after they had done the online course, we saw what a massive benefit it was to them. It helped them with great foundational knowledge. It helped them prepare them for what was going to be covered. It helped them also navigate what subjects they perhaps struggled in and where they were doing really well, so they could focus more on that when they were on campus, etc., etc. So we decided to make it part of the 23-week or 50-week course, that they get this 12-week online course included for free, and that it would be compulsory. Obviously, if students book very last minute and they don't have the time to do the online course, that will be a different story. But all of our students that have signed up for the 6-month or year course will be doing the online course. And like we said, it is compulsory. It doesn't take too much time out of everyone's day, 10 hours per week. Some people work really fast, so could be a little over an hour every day, or if you want to cram it over all in a weekend, it is definitely doable, whether you're in school or working. And the more the students do on that 12-week online course before they come on the 6-month course, the better it is going to be for them. They're going to meet different trainers and different speakers on the live webinars twice a week. Those are recorded, so students have access to that later. They will also be meeting fellow students that they'll be joining on the campus, so they can form those relationships beforehand. They can ask you questions, and it's very interactive. And like I said, it can prepare them for what's going to be covered on campus at a higher level on campus, and together, of course, with the practical training. So yes, we are including it for free now for all students that are doing the 6-month or year course, and it is compulsory.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. I found my question that I was looking for, actually. It's from Scott. Trevor or Kim, either of you are welcome to take this one. Scott would like to know, are there job opportunities for guiding with nonprofit organizations, taking out researchers, volunteers, and graduate students, as opposed to working for lodges?
I can answer that. Yes, there are. There is several. And all have their own unique requirements in terms of the incumbent, and usually dependent on legal aspects like a PDP, a valid driver's license, etc., etc. And having things like your advanced rifle handling behind your name, and having some experience, how can I say, spending time in the bush, etc., so you can provide a blanket sort of cover for researchers, etc., while they're going about their work. Yes, all right. There aren't many, but there are quite a few that I could approach on your behalf. Obviously, these are things that we discuss when we start looking at placement options that suit your immediate requirements and whether we can satisfy them. We don't always get the opportunity to fully satisfy what you might be expecting, but we near as damn it get it right.
Great, thank you so much. And in terms of numbers of students, I think Trevor, maybe you can answer this for online, and then one of our other presenters could answer for kind of the on-campus courses. But how many students does Bushwise accept each year?
Okay, as far as the online is concerned, unlimited. The more the merrier, and all the better, because then I've got a wider audience that I can appeal to. In general, to not only enrich themselves in terms of you know, the natural environment, whether they be in a different country or not, maybe just more creating an awareness instead of just looking at you know, at the trees and well, at the wood and not seeing the trees. No problem. I think our very first intake, if I'm allowed to just muse a little bit, our very first online intake, we had 62 people in one sitting, in one 6-week course. And I was almost overwhelmed. I thought, well, this is just amazing. It does fluctuate, but we would run the course even if there's a minimum of 2 people. Either way, we will, how can I say, we will accommodate everyone. As far as people on the ground, that's a tricky one, okay? Because if you take the COVID thing into account, yes, it seriously impacted our numbers, obviously from a travel point of view, and I think a financial point of view. But I'm going to leave that one up to the likes of Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
So we will take as many people as whoever books. So we have options for additional campuses, which is great. It gives us a lot of flexibility. And historically, we've had anything between 20 and 40 students. So it all depends on bookings and availability. What I just want to mention, in case people are worried that we take so many students, is that you need to remember that we split students between different campuses in smaller groups. And then within the campus of 18, 20, or 24 students, they are put into even smaller groups for practical training, because obviously you can only fit certain amounts of people on a game drive vehicle. So that's what's really nice about that, is because the practical training is smaller groups, more one-on-one and exclusive. The only time all the students are together for training is during classroom activities or group activities like the first aid training and things like that. So I hope that answers the question in case they wanted and felt more comfortable in smaller groups, that in the bigger picture, you are in smaller groups during the practical training.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kim. And we've got a question here from Anonymous. They would like to know, what is the difference between NQF4 and Apprentice Trails Guide?
I think Nico or Trevor should answer this one.
Question.
Hey, Trev? Yeah, good question.
Very good question. Okay, so I'm going to use an analogy here. If you're wanting to become a Boeing airline pilot, you need to start right at the bottom and work your way through the smaller aircraft and get learning hours and flying experience before you can proceed to the top. Okay, it's exactly the same in field guiding. So the NQF2, and in this case, the Apprentice Field Guide qualification is what we offer. If you want to progress to an NQF4, you now become what is known as a professional field guide. And that means you need to put in some hard hours. So you can't progress from NQF2 to NQF4 unless, once you have qualified as NQF2, have got active guiding hours under the belt of a minimum of 260 days. In other words, basically a year before you can progress to the next level, which in this case is NQF4. That's what it means, basically. Same as that aircraft pilot. All right, you've got to work your way towards it. And it's not just, can I write all the different level exams in one go and then start working from the top down? You can't. You need to do it progressively. That's been put in there specific to make sure that by the time you get to the highest level that's available from a FAGASA point of view, that you've actually got the right experience under the belt to warrant and justify that qualification.
Amazing. Thank you, Trevor. That was a really fantastic analogy. I think we've got one more question here that we haven't yet, well, I mean, there's a few, but I think we've kind of answered most of them in one way or another. But one from Danica that, Trevor, I would love your input on. Danica would like to know, would the Bushwise Fagasa course give me a better understanding of which kind of direction in the field guiding and conservation career I would belong if I'm uncertain? I guess, would it help me find the right direction?
Without a doubt, yes. Danica, this is basically a bit of an exploratory journey, I would imagine, because you're sensing and not quite sure if it's what you want to do. Believe me, 90% of the students that come through our ranks and have done for many years are in exactly the same position as you. And I'm happy to say it will give you a better perspective to understand what your options are within the industry itself. You, as you quite rightly say, you may find you don't want to guide, but you wish you could get into a middle management, or at least an entry-level management in a lodge environment where you can work towards becoming a lodge manager. All right. So yes, most certainly, you will get that opportunity by being exposed to what you're going to do on campus on a day-to-day basis.
Fantastic. Thanks, Trevor. And then one, I'm gonna wrap it up with this one last question, but for anyone who really would like to know more, then please do reach out to us. All our contact details will be in the email that you are sent shortly after this event. Should be landing in your inbox anytime now. The question was, what kind of snakes do we get on campus?
Lots. No, I'm joking. Few and far between, but yes, we have both the venomous and the non-venomous type. I think the stigma around snakes is everybody just, when they see a snake, they're immediately afraid, or they have some form of fear or phobia. But very rarely do we have situations that would actually pose a serious threat. As Nika mentioned earlier, we're pretty strict about snakes. All right, you don't touch them, you don't go near them. Regardless if you've got a snake handling qualification, you are not allowed to do so. Simple as that. You will call somebody that is in charge. We have duty managers, we have all duty trainers, etc., that are on site 24/7, 365. So if there is to be an incident where a snake needs to be removed, regardless if it is venomous or not, they will do it with the right equipment safely, and obviously also safely for the animal. After all, we don't want to be seen as not protecting our wildlife. Remember, the snake is not there. He's not biting you because he wants to eat you. He's biting you because he wants to defend himself. So the bottom line is we don't allow them to touch, and you call somebody to come and remove the animal as a matter of haste. But if I was to tell you which snakes we've probably got in excess of 30 different species that are regularly or commonly seen, not only on campus, but generally in the Limpopo area.
Awesome. That is very exciting, and also really, really great to hear that people are encouraged to kind of keep to themselves and allow the wildlife to keep to itself. Awesome. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. Thank you for your time. It's been a really phenomenally wonderful event. There's just been so much engagement and so many people attending, so we're so grateful for that. As I said, we are offering there's a special offer for anyone who has signed up and attended today. The information is on your screen currently. It is a dramatically reduced deposit. The figures can be seen there depending on where in the world you are and what your currency is. And there are also limited scholarships available for July 2022 and January 2023 start dates. So I would strongly encourage you, if you are keen to find out more and potentially register, pop us an email or connect with us via the information that is in the email, outlined in the email that will be in your inbox shortly. Connect with either Kim or Marie and have a good chat with them, ask them all your questions and see what they can do for you in terms of scholarships as well. Yes, the special is valid up until midnight on Monday. If you would like more information as well, you're also welcome to just scan the little QR code on your screen. That'll take you straight to the Contact Us page on the website. But I think that is it from myself and the team today. There will be a recording of this event also popping through to your inboxes on Monday morning. So if you would like to rewatch anything or perhaps share it with a friend who wasn't able to make it today, then you're more than welcome to do that. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am going to play out with our Bushwise video. So let me just pull that up on the screen over here. And yeah, thank you once again. I hope you have enjoyed it and found it valuable. And we will chat to you soon. Cheers all.
Bushwise Field Guides is an all-encompassing field guide course which gives any student huge experience. The idea is that they come with all-encompassing qualifications that they can hopefully get into a job.
The course that we offer is very, very comprehensive. What they're looking for into their guides, and based on that we include that on our courses.
I love nature and I love working with people, so that's actually where my interest grew. I just want to do something or find a particular career in nature.
The students come to Bushwise, I think, not expecting the amount of knowledge they're going to get.
So our modules include things anywhere from geology of the area, climate, mammals, mammal calls, animal behavior.
We do advanced 4x4, we do presentation skills, we do rifle handling and shooting skills.
It's really nice that each week we got either one or a number of modules and then a test weekly, because then it did prepare us for the final FGASA exam.
You know, you're continually learning. You're not just here in the classroom learning stuff. You're out and about in the bush.
And you're not just chasing after the big five, you're stopping in the trees and the flowers and all the little bugs and everything. So that was really awesome because I'm a visual learner and I have to see things to understand them.
I've learned a lot more than I thought I would be able to learn.
On the campus, we're trying to make it as comfortable as possible for the students, a home away from home.
Because it's not necessarily the easiest thing to come out as an international, but to have somewhere where you know that you'll be safe and with a lot of people that are doing the same thing with the same passion. I think for me that's what appealed me to it.
It's not you on your own struggling to understand something or remember something. Everyone is helping everyone.
We're family, we become a family, and with the trainers, what I love about them, they're open, you're free to ask any question whenever you want.
We're teaching them concepts and tips and tricks and knowledge that we've gained over years and years and years.
I have more belief in myself. That's the thing that motivated me the most.
Being a guide or working at research entities, a big element, if not the biggest element, is actually working with people.
It's exciting because you get to tell people what they don't know at all, and seeing the faces like so surprised, like wow.
And I think our main goal is to create teachers which will be able to go out and actually keep conservation going.
That's one of the reasons why we have Bushwise. We try to not only train them as guides with a piece of paper, but for them to go out, be ambassadors, and be responsible and set an example.
A lot of jobs require you to have work experience, and without that, often you aren't able to get jobs. So we offer the 6-month placement, which enables people to work in the industry to really get that foot in the door.
So they give you like a jump start into the industry.
I can't wait now, I can't wait. I'm not looking forward to leaving this place, but that's when the real stuff begins.
Getting excited just thinking about it.